position's tough, but did you come up here and feel like you didn't play your A game, 5 turnovers?
I mean, we made mistakes, but it's what it is. We talk about it all the time. You can't, if you're going to play in a game like this, you got to limit mistakes. I think a lot of it is just effort-based things. It's not like anything's intentional. When you get in situations where you're struggling, you're pushing, you're pressing, and let's not take anything away from Hopewell. Hopewell puts some pressure on you. They've got a fine football team, very explosive, tremendous defensive team speed. So they put you in a lot of binds.
You get a fingertip on the kid's heel there on the screen pass. I mean, how close do you think you got to stopping that?
I thought I got him on the tackle. He just slipped right out from me, though. Such an athlete, it's hard to tackle him.
Did you come close to getting it out of the air, too? Or did the kid
No, I
just do a
didn't
good
see
job
the
putting it
ball
over
in
your
the
head?
air. I didn't see the ball in the air. I saw him. I knew it was screen. He cold screen, so I was waiting for it.
I was in the huddle. I knew they were going to screen before.
So, Coach, you came up a little short today, but what you guys have done for your, the program, the direction it's been in the last several years. Talk to us a little bit about how you get, your kids ready to play, and you've really turned Lord Botetourt around the last few years you've been there.
I just we've been blessed. I feel like Coach Irby sitting up here. When you got guys like this sitting to the left, you're going to win games. The biggest thing as a head coach when you got great players, make sure you're organized, don't screw it up. What have we done different? I don't know. We go lift weights. We have an offensive and a defensive scheme, and we try to prepare as much as we can as special teams. I think sometimes people get caught up in that there's some type of mystique behind winning football games. I think winning football games, being successful is a whole lot like good parenting. There's a lot of expectations there. You don't want the kids doing certain things. You want to make sure that the grades are good. I always say stupid will get you beat every time. Stupid can be defined in a lot of different terms. But just being a good person, a hard worker, and when we talked about before the game, I told them my biggest thing in football, I've been attached to this game for 34 years now. What it's taught me is the importance of an investment, that I make, not for me, but for them. Even as a player, my teammates. How do I handle myself? What am I doing? What am I putting in my body? What are the decisions that I'm making? Because all those little things add up to a cumulative effect on a football program. Butterfly effect, so to speak. Whatever you do will visit you, probably in the most critical moments of your life. And, I'm proud of them today. They played hard.
Ethan, you got 4 on the ground a few times. To talk about how hard it was to, set the edge and keep him from getting outside, and then also worried about jitterbugging it back in the middle. I mean, how good do you think the kid was?
Oh, he's wonderful. Number 4, he can get in any hole that you make. 12-inch hole he can probably get in. It was pretty difficult, but as long as you tackle him, everyone goes down. But he's an athlete, definitely.
Salvi, the quickness they had, how much did that affect your passing game? Just the time you had, the ability of your guys to get open?
Yeah, they had athletes all around on the defensive side. And as soon as we snapped the ball, it seemed like, they were reading their keys like we read ours, and they were catching on pretty quickly. So I had to get the ball away quick, and they came up with a couple of them. So
I just never saw the guy on that last pitch out.
Yeah, he had to step out. He stepped in on me, and then I tried to pitch it out, and then he stepped back out. It was a really good play by him. So props to him.
This question's for Hunter. You missed some games early on this season, but you were able to make it back and really run for a lot of yards. Talk about, the resiliency that you have as a player to, put all that behind you and come out and help lead your team to the state championship.
Yeah, most of those yards are all from my offensive line. Like, I have one of the best offensive line in the state of Virginia, and obviously one of the best teams in the state of Virginia. And just everybody coming around me, you know, keeping me up while I was injured, and then me trying to be a leader while I was injured. I think it helped a lot when I came back.
Ethan, being a senior, what are your feelings about going 14-1, doing what you did, but also getting that close to it?
You know, I actually feel pretty good working with everyone since I was in the first grade. It's crazy to see everyone grow to where we are now, and I'm looking with a good mentality of it.
Coach, did you feel like after the first half, only being down 14-0 with all the bad things that happened, you know, to you, did you feel pretty good coming back out? It looked like you guys had some pep in your step coming out of the locker room.
Look, guys, I'd ride through hell with this bunch. Any day of the week. I'll never feel down with these guys. You know, again, it's just we don't make a few mistakes. You know, we score. We don't have some inopportune things happen. I mean, we're right in it. But again, I go back to Hopewell. Hopewell has a great football team. Hopewell was the reasoning for a lot of those things that were happening. You know, you got to overcome difficult things. Again, I want to go back. Football's like life. You can sit and whine about it, and you can feel sorry for yourself, or you go back to work. You got two choices. And if you're not willing to go back to work, I mean, you know, there's places for you if you don't want to do that. I don't want to be in one of those places.
Is this a game where you could have really used Evan, Defensive Player of the Year last year?
Hey, look, guys, when you got State Defensive Player of the Year standing on sidelines, that makes a big difference. But I'm not going to use it as an excuse. Losing Evan, from a personal standpoint, I've gone through, and this is me being selfish talking about this, is going through a thought process of having what he brought, instead of me thinking more about what he lost, his opportunity. And I've had moments where I felt ashamed of myself for thinking, you know, man, I wish he was playing. I wish he was playing. Instead of really thinking about what's he going through. And I've tried to communicate with him a lot this year, but, you know, I think that's kind of a frailty, a little weakness that we have as human beings, and sometimes we explore more of what we lost instead of what other people lost. And, you know, Evan not playing, that's been tough personally. It's been tough as a team. You know, it's like each week has been something different. We're on the way to, you know, I'm sitting in class Friday morning. We're getting ready to play Franklin County, and so one of the teachers comes up and says, hey, Gunner Gibbons rolled his ankle. And I said, why does he roll his ankle? Because he's playing basketball. So we're scratching a game plan up and coming up with something different on the way to Franklin County, riding on the bus. So there's been some unique situations. I think one week we had 9 people out, something like that. I mean, it was
Crazy.
You know, it's been, you know, I feel like I've been at King's Dominion or Busch Gardens all year, riding a roller coaster. But like I said, I'd ride the roller coaster through hell with these guys.
Injury to Colston there, was that just an ankle sprain?
It's looking like it might be a broke leg. Yeah. Hopefully it's not.
As far as when you missed those games at the beginning of the season, do you feel like you were a little pressured at the end of the year, not having played as many games?
Yeah, I think it did help having a break, but, you know, it also sucked because I feel like I was still working hard, but not being with my team all the time, it was making me not work as hard, and I wasn't as conditioned, obviously, and I still don't think that I was 100% at all this past 8 games that I've played, but next year I'll be 100% the whole season.
Question for the whole group. One game doesn't define a season. With that, can you all take the last half full for what y'all done as a career at Lord Botetourt and not let this define?
All I'll tell you is this: look up Lord Botetourt from 1959 to 2011 and see what you come up with. There's some folks in this room who could give you some previous knowledge on that. In the last 8 years, these kids have really put Lord Botetourt on the map. I remember when I took the job, said this in an earlier interview this week, that all I kept hearing was the parents are terrible, the kids are soft. there's no support, there's no this. And I said, keep telling me more, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. And I said, tell me all the bad stuff. It's like the more they told me, the more I wanted the job. I've always kind of been one of those folks that the worse you tell me it is, the more I want to do it. Because I can really figure out whether there's an excuse there or not, you know. Am I really what I think I'm made of? You know what I mean? Is it that hard? Well, if it's that hard and we can change it, then we've really accomplished something. You know, going from where we were at that time frame, I can remember the first day walking into that weight room and just talking to those kids about basic terms of football. And they looked at me like I was speaking Chinese. A couple weeks go by, I went home, I was sitting on the couch, about to pull my hair out. And my wife looked at me. She pretty much told me to suck it up. You know? And, you know, that's what I always am. I'm not very sympathetic, and these guys know that. I save my sympathy for women and children. Young men don't need it. Worst thing you can do is give them sympathy, make them feel sorry for themselves. They'll never grow into the man that they need to be if you do that. And I think that is more of what they needed over an 8-year time period. Leaning on that crutch of, well, we've never been any good. Well, you know what? That doesn't matter to me, you know? No
How do you guys
excuses
feel
there.
about that? I mean, not that this game defines your career, but your career defines your career.
I mean, I'd probably say personally, I mean, I know Ethan feels the same way. This is like the thing that we've dreamed of since we were little kids. You know, we've been playing together since first grade, all the way throughout middle school, and then in high school, we really, all of the senior class as well as the rest of the team really got close. We've done a lot of awesome things in our high school career. We can remember sitting here at Liberty Stadium in 2015 in the stands watching. We were like, we want to be there. And for us to come here and go 14-1 this year, obviously we lose the most important one, which was definitely our toughest game of the year. But just the experience and getting back to where we wanted to be our senior year definitely it's something special. And I know we're not going to take it for granted and be down in the dumps for too long about one game, because that doesn't define our high school career. So.
Coach, talk a little bit about the guys you got coming back next year. I mean, you guys are pretty junior heavy. You got some big sophomores and things like that. I mean, I think it's safe to say, Lord Botetourt is in a good position to be back here next year.
I'll be honest with you. If we work hard, you might see an encore. You know.
Agree.
That's what my hope is, and hopefully we'll be better prepared next year.